to the Palestinians and their erasure. And that's extraordinarily complicated as well. Clearly, having the Palestinians drawn centrally into the process that's unfolding on the Abraham Accord side is desirable. Now, let's see if we can figure out some of the impediments to that. I mean, one impediment for me is that it's very convenient for actors outside of the immediate locale of Palestine and Israel to ensure that the conflict rages untrammeled for as long as possible. And it isn't obvious to me at all that the Palestinians have been well served by their own structures of governance. And I think that's partly because the tradition of democratic governance is not well founded in many places in the Middle East, and because, as I said, it's very convenient for bad external actors to ensure that the conflict with Israel rages unabated. And I would say I'm also sympathetic to the Israeli claim for a variety of reasons. And let me lay those out. And I don't know how those can be pursued without being, well, also taking into account the fact that this is unfortunately done not infrequently at someone's expense. I mean, the founder of Zionism rightly observed that there was a dawning wave of vicious anti-Semitism in Europe that was going to be incredibly destructive. And that was definitely the case. And then it was the case that the West, in the guise of the UN, let's say, decided that the establishment of a Jewish state was going to be, all things considered, something like a universal good. And it's definitely the case that the establishment of that state has been incredibly problematic, but that one of the consequences is that there's a flourishing nation in that area now that is doing quite well economically and on the governance side, and that has become powerful enough economically and morally, I suppose, but at least practically, to be regarded as a worthy ally by the countries that have signed the Abraham Accords. And what that has meant is that the Palestinian situation is still unaddressed, and the catastrophes that are associated with that still playing themselves out. And it isn't obvious to me at all what can be done about that. Now, your point was, well, one thing that could be done is not to exclude the Palestinians linguistically or practically, and I would say fair enough, but I don't know how we address the bad actor problem, which is partly the fact that it's pretty damn convenient for people who are anti-Israel in the most fundamental sense to keep the Palestinian conflict raging for their own particular narrow self-interest. And that's a true impediment to peace. It was also a true impediment to peace that the bloody State Department has insisted for the last 70 years that there's no possibility whatsoever of moving even incrementally towards peace in the Middle East without a full solution to the Palestinian problem, which the people who established the Abraham Accord demonstrated in a very short period of time was a preposterous claim.